Hi, welcome to Om Tech Solutions. So now we will start with SAP Cash Management. As part of SAP Cash Management, we will cover the following topics: Cash Position Report, which is transaction code FF7AN, Liquidity Forecasting, Memo Records, Treasury Payment Process, Cash Pooling, and One Exposure Table in S4 Hana Finance. So let's first start with the cash position report. So to start with the cash position report, we have to do the cash management configuration. The methodology will be, first I will go and do the configuration. I will show hands-on in the SAP what all steps are there and what all configuration has to be done for the model company that we are setting up. And then we will go to the end user transaction, which is a cash position report FF7AN. Here we will create an end-to-end scenario, that is post a payment invoice and do a payment run and see how it appears in the cash position report and in liquidity forecast. Similar process will be followed for memo records, treasury payment process, cash pooling, and one exposure table. So the configuration steps involved in cash management are: define source symbol, enable the planning label as an input field in the GL master, enable cash management group as an input field in vendor and customer master, define planning label, define planning groups, define planning labels in the payment request, define number range for manual planning. Manual planning is the memo records, planning types, cash management name, and then data setup is required as part of initial activation of cash management in a company code. So let's go through each of these steps in the SAP. As part of data setup, we are doing the following activities, which again we will look in the SPRO or SAP in detail. That is, activate individual source application, activate multiple source application, load transaction data, build cash flow from operations, so on. So the first step as part of configuration was define source symbols. I'm logging in SAP test system. Now the path is your SPRO, FSCM, cash liquidity management, cash management, right? So let's follow this path here. SPRO, FSCM, financial supply chain management, cash and liquidity management, cash management, settings for FF7AN and 7BN, define source symbols. So source symbols, basically they identify the nature of transactions that are flowing into the cash management. We are going to use the SAP predefined source symbols, mainly the BNK, which is the bank accounting, which is any payment posted to the bank account will have this source symbol, and PSK, this is a subledger accounting, that is invoices posted to the vendor and customers. In case there is a requirement to create your own source symbol, it can be created here. So we are going to use BNK and PSK, SAP predefined source symbols. Let's go to the next step. The next step is to enable the planning label as an input field in the GL master. So the transaction code is OBD4. Let me go to OBD4. To go to a particular screen, enter the / on the top left corner, give N, and then enter the again / and then give the transaction code, which is OBD4. Sorry, you have to give the / then N, and then type your transaction code OBD4. So we are using a chart of account AUM. Yes, and let's look at the balance sheet account. Select this chart of account, balance sheet account, select this row. Now click this field status button here, and then go back. We want to enable the planning level field, which you can find in the group cash. Planning level field need to be enabled here. So I'm checking the planning level field. What you have to do, you have to click the first group, let's say account control, double click it, and now you can see the fields under A under this group. If you don't find planning level, click the arrow on the top. And I see the planning level field is available here, and this is made as optional. So that is what is required. The field should be selected as optional. Optional means you can make an entry here. Display means you cannot make an entry, but it will be shown. Suppress is it is not displayed, and required means the entry is mandatory in this field. So where is this field available? This is available in the GL master, which we access through transaction code FS00. This we will cover later. But once we go to the GL master through FS00, we will see the field is enabled, planning level, because we have selected as optional here. Let's go to the next one. Enable cash management group as an input field in vendor customer master. Transaction code OBD3. So go here /N OBD3. And now we can make this field as optional. So you have to select your group here. Once you select the group, click the lens. Now click the general data, control, and the cash management group field or the planning group field should be made optional here. Okay, let's find the account group assigned to our vendor. The table is LFA1 where we have the vendors. And so this is the vendor 20,000 which we are using, and let's find out the account group of this vendor. So MKV is the account group of this vendor, MKV. Going back to transaction OBD3, and now searching for this account group MKV, and here we have to enable the cash management field. Company code data, and so this is it. Now once we in the account group, you have the subgroup, which is, once we are in this account group MKV, the look for the field status under company code data, and under company code data you place your cursor on account management, double click it, and you see the account management cash management group here. Now cash management group, again we made it optional, which means you can enter and make an entry here, but at the same time it's not required, which means you can still create a business partner or a vendor without making an entry here. So both these steps have been completed. Next, let's move to the next step. Now here we are going to define the planning level. So what is the planning level? Planning level helps to identify the nature of transaction which is appearing in the cash position report. So we have planning level for the posting made to the bank account, that is your main bank account or cash in transit accounts. And then there are separate planning levels defined for liquidity forecasting. Liquidity forecasting concerns with the vendor invoices and customer invoices. Vendor invoices, it will show when the vendor invoice is becoming payable, when we have to make the payment. And customer invoice, the report shows when the money will be received for that customer invoice. So the planning levels need to be defined for vendor invoices, customer invoices, and for the bank accounts. Bank accounts, it shows whether the money is actually there in the bank account or the money is in transit. That is, we have made a payment to the vendor, but the payment file has been sent to the bank, but bank has not received the file, and so the money is still lying in the main bank account. So this is what we call cash in transit. So let's define the planning level. Again, the same path, just follow the path here in the presentation: SPRO, FSCM, cash and liquidity, cash management, planning level, planning groups. So going back to SPRO. FSCM, cash and liquidity management, cash management, and now you have planning levels and planning groups. So click planning level, and then you have to execute or click this clock planning level. So here we are going to define the planning level. So we are going to define our own planning level. I have defined this planning level D1, D2, which is for D1 is for customers and D2 is confirmed customers. K1 is for unconfirmed vendor, K2 is for confirmed vendors. L1 is for the main bank account, that is the GL account associated with your bank account which is maintained at the bank. L2 is for the cash in transit. These are the GL accounts to which the payment is made when you do a automatic payment run, but the money has actually not been removed from your main bank account, right? So these are cash in transit. Similarly, one planning level MQ has been defined for memo records. We will discuss more about memo records in subsequent videos. So memo records are don't do any FI posting, but they still help with the cash position report. For example, you think that tomorrow you are going to get a money from the customer, and the bank manager has informed you that tomorrow you are going to get this money. So you can make a memo record posting for that in your today's cash position report, showing it that it will be available tomorrow. This can help you in deciding what payments you can make today and what payments you can tomorrow using your bank account. And then we have payment requests, and then there are two labels for the blocked vendor and blocked customers. So we are going to create these planning labels: D1, D2, K1, K2, L1, L2, and so on. Now I have already created these planning labels. You can see K1 is there, K2, K1 unconfirmed vendors is there, K2 confirmed vendors are there, and then I have L1, which is the main bank account, L2, which is the cash in transit, that's also there, and D1, if look, D1 has already been created, that is unconfirmed customer. Just to show you, let me create one more planning label. So click the new entries button. Let's give it a name D3. Now the source is very important. When it is a liquidity forecast or you are going to assign the planning label for invoices, vendor and customer invoices, the source is PSK. You can find it through F4 also. Place your cursor and click F4. So source is PSK, subledger accounting. I'm giving it something called test, and then let's create one planning label for testing purpose for bank account. So let's call it BN. Now this time the source is not PSK, source is BNK, bank accounting, and this is BNK test, and I can save it. So with this you can create your planning labels. Let's look at the next step. The next step is to create planning groups. So what are planning groups? So now planning groups are assigned to the vendors and customers master. To a planning group, we assign the planning label, and these planning groups we assign to the business partners, that is customers and master. So when you do an invoice posting, let's say for a vendor you do an invoice posting, when you see the invoice in the vendor report, FPL1, and in that invoice you will see a planning label, which will show you in the cash forecasting. And this planning label is getting derived from the planning group, because we are going to assign planning label to the planning groups, and this planning group has been assigned to the business partner. So let's look at this whole process here for better understanding. Define planning groups. So again, I have defined these planning groups C1, C2. C1 is for domestic customer, C2 is for foreign customer. V1 is for domestic vendor, V2 is for foreign vendor, and MP is for bank loans. So you have it here. You have V1, which is domestic vendor, V2 foreign vendor, and then C1 is domestic customer, C2 is foreign customer. Let's define a new planning group. We call it V3. Now, the second step, as I said, was you have to assign your planning group to a planning label. So this we are going to assign to the planning label. Let's see, for vendor we are using K1, which we have defined earlier. So let's assign it to the K1, unconfirmed vendor. Okay, and you can give a text here. This is test vendor, test vendor planning group, and you can save it. So here we have defined the planning group. We have assigned the planning label to the planning group. The next step will be you go to the business partner. The transaction code is BP. This is pre-created. It was created earlier. And here, select it and double click it. Click this pencil to make it change mode. Now, you have to select the role here as vendor, FI vendor. Select this role, FLV N00, FI vendor. Company code. So our company code AUM3. Right? And you have this field planning group. So here you have to assign the planning group which we have defined in earlier. So we have defined the planning group V3 for the testing purpose. This is available here, but let's stick with the V1 which was created earlier, domestic vendor. This should assign it here and save it. So that is one task. Next step will be to create blocked accounts. So this blocked account concept we will discuss in later. Let's move to the next configuration step. Define number range for the memo records. So memo records are for the transactions which don't do any FI postings, but still we need to create a number range for these manual records. So this is a simple the transaction configuration activity. Just follow this path and go ahead and create a number range for the memo records. So the same path, but here now you click the memo records and click define number range and enter your company code AUM3, click intervals and you have defined it. So currently NR status is 0 because once we start posting the memo record, this number will start appearing. Next step in configuration will be define planning types for memo records. So planning types are something unique to the memo records. You define planning types and assign planning label to the planning types. So planning types are used when we are creating a memo record. Planning types control the planning label, number range and archiving category which is assigned to the memo records. Memo records can be auto-archived or we can manually archive them. We will discuss more about memo records when we do the testing of the memo records. So just follow the path SPRO, cash liquidity, cash management, structuring, manual planning and define the planning types. So here the next node is define planning types. And I have defined MQ as the planning type, memo records. The planning label assigned is MQ. This we have defined it earlier, memo records for bank loan. Planning label in planning labels in payment requests. Now payment requests are generated when we do bank-to-bank transfer or treasury payment. This is another topic which will be covered later. But we are completing the configuration of this topic. So treasury bank-to-bank payments. So that time in the transaction code, SAP transaction code is FRFT_B or FRFT. There the first step will be you are creating a payment request. So here you assign a planning label to the payment request. So this payment request appears in your cash position report with that planning label. And once a payment request is approved, this gets paid in a treasury payment program, which is F111, which again we will discuss later. As part of cash position management, we also have to define the cash management account name. Let's go follow the path and define two cash management account names. So same, follow the path, financial supply chain management, cash and liquidity management, cash management. Come to settings for FF7AN and FF7BN, click drop down and here click this define cash management account name. give your company code, which is AUM3, and you can give the cash management account name. So I have given account name Citibank, and the GL account has been associated against this. This bank account number is coming from the master data of the Citibank bank account. Next step is to define groupings and maintain headers. So let's go to the below this define cash management. You have this drop down groupings, and here define groupings and maintain headers. So click the button to execute it, and groupings and maintain header, basically these are the groupings under which the cash position is displayed in the cash position report. So we have created two groupings. One is G-test APAR. So this will be used for the liquidity forecast. This will show the vendor invoice and customer invoices and when they are due. Another grouping we have created is G-test cash CASH, and this will show the money with your bank account, that is just now what we have seen, the main bank account, and also money with your cash in transit account. This when you make a payment run, you will have money in the cash in transit account. So how much money is in the cash in transit account? Also, memo records can be posted to this G-test cash group. And the last step as part of this is to maintain the structure. So this we will maintain structure we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.